Hey guys, what's up? It's Charlie here, and today we're going to be looking at 10 dirty jobs that pay well. Do you think your job sucks? Maybe you believe that the only thing that could make it any worse would be if you were covered in dirt. Well, maybe not, as it turns out some of the dirtiest jobs can be the most financially rewarding. Stay tuned and hey, maybe you'll find your new career path. But first, definitely subscribe, and why not turn on notifications too? Coming in at number 10 is armpit smeller. Come on Charlie, that can't be an actual job. That's what you're probably all thinking, but no, armpit smelling is a real career. So what is the point of these armpit smelling individuals in lab coats? They're not mad scientists, instead they actually work for deodorant companies. We all buy deodorant in the store, but before it gets to the store it has to be tried and tested to make sure it actually smells good. It has to smell good on a variety of different people, men, women, old and young. So to make sure the stuff smells good on everybody, people are brought in to smell loads of people's armpits. But not just any old schmuck with a nose can do this job. It sounds pretty easy just smelling armpits all day, but really there's a lot more to it. You have to have a specially trained nose that can pick up on tiny differences in smells, and you have to know in general terms what customers will like and what they won't. Now it may not sound ideal having your nose in some guy's armpit from 9 to 5, but have no fear, these guys are well compensated, being paid up to $150,000 a year for sniffing all those armpits. Next up is porta-potty cleaner. Have you ever wondered how a portable toilet is cleaned? Yeah, me either, but it's actually more difficult than you might expect. And the people who do it are paid more than you might expect too, earning an average of $50,000 a year. They have to use large hoses and vacuums to clean out the contents of the toilet. Then they use a high-powered pressure washer to hose down things to make them as good as new. But like in all jobs, problems do occur, but when a mistake is made in porta-potty cleaning, it isn't good. Sometimes hoses get blocked, causing the hose's content to spray everywhere. Unsurprisingly, the workers wear overalls like they're working in a nuclear power plant, and I don't blame them. This job is pretty nasty, so you might assume that nobody would really want to do it. But thanks to the decent paycheck, this is enough to tempt quite a few people. Is $50,000 a year enough for you to take up porta-potty cleaning? Next up is a whale remover. Whales are massive and interesting sea animals that a lot of people love, but unfortunately sometimes whales can get washed up onto shores and beaches without making it back to sea. But of course, the body of a whale can't just be left on a beach. This is where whale removers come in. They have to get rid of the whale in whatever way is most suitable, but there's a number of different ways to do this. One way is to bury the 80,000-pound animal in either sea or land. This is tricky though, as it sometimes means closing off the beach for an entire year, and sometimes the whale actually has to be taken to a landfill site if it's not suitable for sea or sand. And another way to get rid of a beached whale is to cut it open. The whale is then removed in small parts or taken to a landfill site or infirmary. It's not the most glamorous job and you likely will end up every day covered in whale. But for your hard work you can be awarded up to $70,000, as a lot of training and skill is required to be a whale worker. Would you ever be a whale remover if you earned $70,000 from it? Next up we have sewer inspectors. Have you ever felt like inspecting a sewer? I'm guessing you haven't, but for some people this is actually their occupation. Sewers aren't nice places, but they're very important in society. So sewer inspectors are required to make sure everything is in full working order and make sure the engineers are doing their job. You may have to work around Kelvin, who smells like fish, in the office, but they have to work around rats, bugs, cockroaches and mice. And unsurprisingly, bacteria is very prominent in sewers, actually making this job dangerous if health and safety isn't done just right. But the worst thing about this job is the awful smell you likely take home with you after hours. Of course, they do wear specially made suits for the job, but this doesn't make the job any less gross. And if you're ever inspecting and see a problem, it's not going to be a pretty sight. However, this job does pay surprisingly well, as on average, sewer inspectors can earn around $55,000 a year. But it's usually quite a bit more than that depending on how many years you've been doing the job. Something tells me you wouldn't want to be doing this for too long though. Next up is crime scene cleaner. We all know shows like CSI, but trust me, crime scene cleaning is not as glamorous as it's made out to be on that show. Crime scenes are usually covered in bacteria, hazardous waste, and blood. It's not a nice job and often means you have to encounter people who have passed away. They often have to work with harmful chemicals too, as you need to clean up dangerous areas. And not only does this job physically make you feel bad, but psychologically and emotionally bad too. But if you have a strong stomach and mind, then this job may be for you. Cleanup crews can earn around $80,000 a year. To put that into perspective, some of the smaller characters on CSI get paid about that. However, this is not an office job, and you never know when you may be called up to the scene of a crime. So if you don't mind being woken up at 4 AM to clean up some blood, then try and get a job as a crime scene cleaner. Yeah, I think I'll pass on that. The 4 AM wake up time is probably scarier than the crime for me. Next up is adult entertainers. This job is odd because you'd either hate to have it, or if you're a teenage boy, you might love to have it. Working in the adult entertainment industry is not always the best. Sometimes actors can get diseases and infections from their work. And obviously they don't get to choose everybody they work with, meaning sometimes they have to work with people they don't find attractive. Also, the hours on this job are surprisingly long, as it can take a few hours to get a few minutes of usable footage. However, adult movie actors can earn anywhere from $70,000 to over $1 million a year depending on how successful you are. And in other adult entertainment jobs like working at clubs, girls who work there are known for getting colossal tips. Jay-Z and Beyonce once made $200,000 rain on a club floor, and that all goes to the entertainers. Thanks to this, girls can make around $2,000 a night, which works out to $730,000 a year. Wow! But just be prepared to get ogled by some creep, as that happens a lot. Would you ever work in the adult entertainment biz, or is it just too weird for you? Next up is oil rig worker. We all know some people make big bucks off of oil. Just look at the richest family in the world, the House of Saud, who are rich thanks to Saudi Arabian oil and gas. But do the men on the ground get paid that as well? They may not make trillions, but the people with the dirty job of an oil worker do make a good chunk of change. On average, they make around $100,000 a year, but they pay a high price for it themselves. They're stuck in the middle of the ocean on a rig and getting dirty all day. It's also one of the most dangerous jobs in the world, so you're literally risking your life. And you have to be away from your family, unless they don't mind moving to an oil rig. You also get very few breaks on an oil rig, as the rig is in operation 24/7. This means repairing machinery, fixing pipes, and removing oil tubes from holes is commonplace all the time. And you have to battle with winds and freezing cold sea around you all while you're doing this. Would you do one of the most dangerous jobs in the world for $100,000? I'm not sure it's worth the risk. Next up, we have urine farmer. We all know farmers farm things like pigs, cows, wheat, and vegetables. But one thing you've likely never heard of being farmed is urine. Well, believe it or not, this is actually a job, and a well-paying one at that. Urine is very sought after, especially deer urine, as it's used as a hunting lure. The way the farmers do this is by waiting in a collection room at night. They have special floors where the urine drips down from, and underneath they collect it, bottle it, and refrigerate it. Yeah, better not put your sandwiches for lunch in that same fridge. You're working with animal pee, so obviously it's not going to be the cleanest job in the world. And you have to work in the night, which means you may be away from your family quite a little bit. But perhaps it's worth it, as urine farmers on average earn $80,000 a year. Next up is crop duster pilot. When you think of pilots, you think of flying to airports and all around the world. You have to be away from home a lot, but you do get to work in a clean environment. And regular pilots earn around $100,000 a year. But what about pilots who fly crop duster planes? Unlike a regular plane, these pilots fly at the lowest altitude possible. They fly very close to the crops, trying not to fly into them. And as they do this, they spray fertilizer and pesticide exterminator. These are made of dust and toxic chemicals which pilots breathe back in as the wind blows the spray back onto the plane. However, for this danger, they can earn around $80,000 to $90,000 from this annually. You may think the job doesn't sound good, but it doesn't come with many of the headaches of being a regular pilot. For example, you don't have to be away from home for too long, and you can work from 9 to 5 instead of doing those 8-hour flights like regular pilots. So, would you rather be a crop duster pilot or a regular pilot? Next up is landfill gas operator. We all know landfill sites are where trash, and sometimes whales, get dumped. Thanks to this, there's tons of harmful bacteria there. Also many bugs, rodents, and who knows what else live in the landfill. Not only that, sometimes people throw away dangerous things that you have to be around. A landfill gas operator has to funnel methane gas produced by the garbage through pipes. It sounds simple enough, but really it's very dangerous and smells awful. However, once you see the salary, maybe you'll think it's worth it. The profession pays an average of $95,000 a year. This of course comes with the trade-off of being in a dangerous and stinky landfill all day though. And in some countries like India, people don't even wear any protective gear when working in a landfill. So if you do end up choosing to work in a landfill because of this video, just don't do it in India. Or at least if you do, don't say I didn't warn you. But would you choose money over hygiene and take this job, or would you pass? You know what, I don't think I'll take any of these jobs. I think I'll stick to YouTube for now. At least that one's not too dirty. Well, at least most of the time it's not. To be honest, none of these jobs are very appealing, but the paychecks are surprisingly good. The most popular job with the most demands is actually an oil rig worker. But as we already covered, it's very dangerous and dirty. But I guess if you don't mind being in the ocean millions of miles away from everyone else, this one is pretty good for you. You could even say it's the ultimate job for an introvert. Check out the poll in the top right corner to vote for the dirty job that pays well you'd want to do the most. And guys, please do check out my new channel, The Crafty. There's mind-bending DIYs, crafts, and more over on that channel. There's going to be a crafty video coming up on screen in a second, so definitely click it, and why not subscribe too. But as always, thanks for watching. Check out some more videos on screen right now. Leave a like if you enjoyed, and if you haven't already, what are you waiting for? Subscribe to Top 10s.